Our next performer is Anishka, an A-level student in Year 12 who lives every moment to the fullest, inspired by his sister Aliza, a courageous girl diagnosed with autism. In her talk, titled The X is in Our Story, she will address the taboo of failure while trying to understand this persistent fear that lives within us. Please welcome her on stage.
No need to worry about our generation. We know how to solve for X. I may not know how to properly write a check or how to file for taxes, but hey, I know how to solve for X. I know how to write a 6-paragraph essay in under 60 minutes, and that mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. But I don't know how to buy a house, write up a resume, or what a credit score is. So, is that what you want for you or your kids? To memorize, recite, and forget? No, that's what I thought. And that's why I suggest you take an X and put it right over these terms. Because otherwise, somewhere along the road, that is one's education, they start to hate the thing they want to love the most, learning. Sometimes students put in more effort into passing and getting good grades through rote learning rather than taking that extra time to fully understand what is being taught by their teachers. And I'm going to raise my hand and admit that I've done this before, and that's to identify what X means to me: failure. So I asked a couple people what they thought of when I said the word failure, and a couple keywords that came up were defeat, breakdown, unsuccessful, frustration. Unfortunately, failure in education, as well as general society, is seen as a negative word. However, it's a vital part of life because without it, we would be less capable of compassion, kindness, and great achievement. Everyone gets a little antsy about failure, and that's normal. However, I've noticed that this is particularly true in India, where I'm originally from. And being that's where most of my family is, and that's where my roots lie, I took it upon myself to understand this significant fear. Now, I believe that it is primarily due to the judgment that's within our society, where you can be judged at a young age for something like the stream you choose to graduate in. I also learned that in Italy, failure is a taboo subject. And through Crystal Chrissy, I learned the term brutta figura. Now, this translated literally means ugly figure, but contextually means to appear in bad light. Almost gives you a reason to stop talking about failure. So I wondered if there was anything like this in India. And within moments, the phrase, log kya kahega, popped into my head. Now this translates to, what will people think? In India, we don't live as individuals. We live as representatives of our family and culture. So if you were to fail at something, it's seen as though you're failing your family and your culture. Now, I want to make one thing very clear, is that I'm just identifying a trend, because not everyone's going to fit this trend. And an example of this are my two loving parents who encourage and inspire me to try new things, take a little risk in life. But they are well aware that I will not succeed at everything I try. And they've instilled in me the mindset that failure is an essential part of life. I have to learn to view it as another life experience. I've learned to appreciate it. We live in a world where popular culture celebrities and public speakers say that if you chase your dream, you will achieve it. But this is contextualized with guarantee, and it makes it appear as though it's only cool to talk about failure when that exact dream is achieved. Now, trust me, I know it can feel incredible to look back on a failure and see how far you've come. But in the moment that something goes wrong, it's important to acknowledge it, because that's how you identify your area of weaknesses and how you're going to improve. Because in essence, failure is just a test. And here at Sunmarke, we have a positive education curriculum. And as part of this, we do talk about failure, particularly in an assembly situation where we turn to the real world, talk about celebrities, ranging from athletes to singers, and how they had once failed too. And it's great, but walking out of these assemblies, I've always wanted more explicit steps on how to process a failure. And now, as I approach young adulthood, I believe that I've garnered 3 steps that help you overcome a failure. And that's what I'm here to share with you today. I was born in Dubai and put in the British education system. And so I'm often faced with the question from family, school must be easy. And this is because in terms of my second degree family, I'm the only one that hasn't been through the Indian education system. Now this question, it truly made me feel like a failure growing up. This is because I thought, because I wasn't in a challenging enough system, my achievements weren't validated. Now, to some extent it is true that in India, the education system is more competitive. But when I see it, I see something that involves memorization and pupils often being afraid to ask questions. So they're going through the motions mechanically, making me question if that's learning. After continuing to talk to my peers, I found out that extracurriculars get the back seat, if any seat at all. Now, doing my research made me realize I love the system that I'm in. I was in the best possible situation to achieve my goals and my dreams. Yet, a cloud of failure still loomed. But I continued to thrive in my environment because I knew that I was going to reach my goals here. And that brings me to my first step, accepting responsibility. Now, when something goes wrong, it's really easy to look around and blame someone else. But in my situation, I took it upon myself to sit down and have a conversation, explain to the others why my situation and my system was just as effective. And trust me, I know that it's easier said than done, because when's confrontation ever easy? But by accepting this failure, you're rerouting a path to your goals. And isn't that what we ultimately strive for as individuals? The next step is to focus on you. As you can see, I spent a lot of time thinking about how everyone else perceives me. And if not that, I find someone else to compare myself to. And this is made so much easier today with social media, being able to blast unrealistic lifestyles. But then I take a step back and I realized I'm no exception to this, because I post my best life on social media. So if I'm capable of doing this, I'm sure that's what most people are doing, and it's my responsibility to remember that. Because my life looks great on social media. It looks like I spend my time hopping around the globe, coordinating outfits. It looks great, honestly. But my ordinary life, however, is quite different. I'm gonna give you an example here. This is gonna be embarrassing, but these are the types of things my best friend gets to see. Very lucky, I know. But it's important to know that I obviously wasn't going to have someone take a photo of me when I was crying, because I found out that this TED Talk was going to be on the same day as a physics test. So focus on the roles you play, the standards of work you deliver. What I'm going to say now is going to sound cheesy, but keep your eye on the prize, because it would be a waste of your time to look around just to view a faux reality that was going to discourage you. The last step is to maintain a balance. I set high standards for myself. I work hard and have a very competitive spirit. I have relished in the opportunity to compete in various activities, ranging from sport to debate. But with all the pressure I put on myself, sometimes I forget to acknowledge my hard work and dedication. Sometimes you need a little bit of self-love. However, when something goes wrong, that's also my responsibility to find out how and why, and find out how I'm going to change that. Because creating this balance, finding this balance, allows you to create coherence. And that is ultimately what enables you to learn and grow. I hope that today I have reminded you, or taught you rather, that it's not about erasing your X's. It's about learning to view them as milestones, mapping out a journey to your version of success. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.